Hello, here we are again. I'm CharLee Simons, your host here on Do Not Talk, talking about two things you're never supposed to talk about: politics and religion. It's too divisive. Well, one decides what life is going to be like here on earth, the other one decides what it's going to be like when you leave it. Don't ever stop talking about those things. Please. Come on now. The silent majority has finally found its voice, and I hope it increases. Not in yelling, not in shouting down, not in insults, but definitely with heart, passion, and wisdom from God's word. And you only get that by actually reading it. A chapter a day keeps false teachers away. I recommend that all the time. A chapter a day. It only takes about 10 minutes to read, 5 minutes even. If you read it out loud, about 10 minutes. You want to read it with your family, fantastic idea. I'll change everything for you. Or just read it to yourself. It will change your life. Start in the New Testament because that's where our salvation is. The book of John is the fourth gospel, a synopsis of Christ Jesus and his time on earth and what all happened. And then just keep going, all the way through Revelation. Don't be afraid of Revelation. Don't be. The Father, the creator of the universe, promises he's going to take care of his children. Trust in him, but read his word so you can't be fooled anymore. Topher knows what I'm talking about, and he's on my show here on Do Not Talk in just a second. There's a Charlie Kirk Turning Point USA event coming up in conjunction with them that we want to let you know about, especially here in California. It can be extremely beneficial for you to know about this. So we'll be covering that. But in the meantime, if you can help this show in any way, charliesimons.com. That's my new website. There's several crowdfunding locations on there, links on there, shows, information, how to contact me, how to even schedule yourself to be on the show. Yep, all right there, charliesimons.com, CharLeeSimons.com. And one more thing, please like wherever you're watching right now. That helps break down the algorithms. Just hit that like button for me right now, if you would, please. And if you're watching on Rumble, follow that channel. You can follow me on Facebook, too, and on YouTube. You can subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything on YouTube to subscribe. It sounds confusing, though, because that's their word for following. So it doesn't cost you anything, though, is what I'm saying. May God bless you and keep you. And thank you so much for tuning in. And Topher, let's get you into the mix. Hello, buddy.
All right. Hello, Charlie, and hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. What an
Thanks for
honor.
being had. That's my favorite joke. So I got to see Charlie Kirk. Haven't met him yet. Hope to someday. I just have great respect for the work that he does. A national syndicated radio talk show, all the podcasts that he does, and he's still going out to college campuses and preaching to not the choir, which is what so many people do. They go to where all their followers and believers and people who think the way they do, they go where they always are or already are, but not Charlie, not Charlie Kirk. He goes where he's absolutely hated. I did get to see him when he was at UC Davis, which is a college campus if you're not in this area in Northern California. Incredibly hostile. Incredibly hostile. They hated us, hated that we were there, hated him for being there. They call him horrific names without any truth. They just throw stuff out. They're acidic, they're demonic, they're caustic, and they're wrong. So
Mhm.
if you've never seen Charlie Kirk live, I know he's coming to San Francisco State May 3rd, uh, and you can get free tickets too. Look that up while they last. He doesn't charge you to go to these things. But what is this that you have coming up with Turning Point?
So, what I have coming up, and I just want to say first off, I'm not an official representative of Turning Point, so I don't want anyone to think I'm officially representing them. These are all my own opinions. But this is called the Wildfire Prevention Summit, featuring the West Slope Foundation, which is a local foundation helping the Caldor victims. It's also a 501c3 nonprofit. because, as we all know, the Grizzly Flat people still don't have homes. It got wiped out and they got left behind. And I hate to say that, but it's been 4 years and our government has really failed us and nothing has happened.
I lived there, right?
No,
I
I had
lived
no
there.
idea. You
Yeah.
lived in Grizzly Flat. Wow.
Yeah, but I lost my home in 2018, so I wasn't there when the Caldor fire went through a few years later. But many of my friends, great friends and brothers and sisters in Christ Jesus at the Grizzly Flats Community Church there,
Hmm.
lost everything because they had had their homeowners insurance canceled on them because they were deemed a high fire area. And I used to think when I lived there, I loved living there, loved it, treasure my time there, miss it.
Hmm.
But I realized this is a problem. There's one way in and one way out only. It's a 4,000-foot elevation up Strings Canyon, up past Placerville, about the same elevation as Pollock Pines. So you got snow, and there was a one road, and two of those bridges turned into one-lane bridges. So I thought, man, if a big fire breaks out here, how are we going to get out? And how's fire crew going to be getting in when we're trying to get out? Uh, and then it happened. But I had looked in advance for there's a lot of logging roads up there. So I went exploring more than once, trying to find a route, a different way, a back way out through El Dorado National Forest, and I found one. But but that's a very real reality when you have one way in and one way out. And a lot of people escape with their lives. Some even did get burned and get hurt, and they wound up in the hospital. But no lives were lost.
Hmm.
That
Praise
was an
God.
amazing thing. But you're right about they've not been allowed to go back. We're seeing the same thing happen with we saw it with Paradise. We're seeing it with Palisades now. No permits are given out to rebuild, even if they did have insurance that could cover the loss and they could rebuild there. They're not being allowed to even go back in. We're seeing this time and time and time again in the state of California. Why do you think that is?
Well, that's the big question. Why is that? Why are no permits issued? It's almost like they don't want anyone to rebuild, and it's almost
They
like maybe they want cheap land.
they
I am
do.
highly skeptical, and everyone, for whatever reason, especially on the left, they just trust the government. The government is not to be trusted with anything. Everything. I think it was Ronald Reagan that said very wisely that the nine most terrifying words that can come from the government is "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." And I think the Biden administration said that exact same thing during the coronavirus. And to keep it more wildfire central, when the Biden administration was still in office, uh, FEMA basically said, "Sorry, your event wasn't it wasn't tragic enough to get any funding." So that's why we're in this position today, and that's why no one has their houses. And there's a post office out there, from my understanding, but basically nothing else.
Yeah, even ironically enough, even the volunteer fire department burned down. It was a horrible thing, and I know so many people who lost everything, and it just makes me sick. I don't know what to do about it, and and the media seems to be completely ignoring it. They've moved on a long time ago. They moved on. It was a very beautiful area, very pristine area, right at the edge of the El Dorado National Forest. Like I said, population of at least 1,000 people, most of them retirees, just like
Hmm.
Paradise. A lot of retirees, and they really lost everything. So, what is this going to entail? Your event coming up, and how can we help?
Well, what the Lord prompted me was three things: to find a way to raise money, which is where the West Slope Foundation comes in. So all the money goes to them, and they're the one that's actually they're one of the few. Believe me, it was hard to find a nonprofit helping the Grizzly Flat victims because
They're not.
people have really forgotten about them. Even
Yeah,
during this process, I was like, I want to raise money. I want to find a way to raise money to help the Grizzly Flat victims. And people were like, wasn't that 4 years ago? And it's like, well, who cares? It could be 10 years ago. These people still need help. Number two is to educate and train the community on how we can better prepare and actually prevent these things from happening, instead of just letting them happen and then we take care of it. It shouldn't. be an issue in the first place, because we should be prepared and educated. And then the third thing is I'm going to have a prayer team to pray over all the families that have been impacted, because prayer is the most powerful thing. And sometimes that's all people need, is just prayer, and to let them know that the community did not forget about them. So the ultimate goal is to shine the spotlight back on it, and hopefully we can get the government scrambling to help them in any way, shape, or form that they can.
Yeah, they didn't even get the FEMA checks like North Carolina, and others who got their $740 check. The Grizzly Flats people got nothing, as far as I understand.
Right? It's, to me, that's a red flag. Like, let's start asking some questions. It's time for this to get unearthed, and it's time for the citizens to actually hold their elected officials accountable. What are you guys actually doing? Are you guys sitting around? It's been I know bureaucracy is slow, but come on, 4 years, and we haven't seen almost any progress. Like, this is unacceptable.
They don't want us up there. They don't want us in the mountains. California, and I think a lot of this are the environmentalists. They have the attitude of you leave that for the animals. We don't have any. We don't belong there. Well, you don't get to tell me where I can and cannot live, despite your little beliefs and the fact that you worship Mother Earth or worship the government, whatever you worship. I worship the Creator, not the created. And I know that that was an extremely wonderful place with a great church and a wonderful community and a couple of schools. We didn't even have a store. We had to travel down into Pleasant Valley to go to the store. That was about a 35-40 minute trip. But other than that, we took care of each other, and that happened during the fire and after. But now it's just decimated and devastated, and they are left with nothing and no recourse. And like I said, many of them are retired. It's not like they can go back to work. They can start all over. They lost their life savings. They might have been hocked up to here with even still trying to make mortgage payments. Lost everything because their insurance was canceled. I asked Congressman Tom McClintock about that twice.
Mhm.
How come the government stepped in and said no, auto insurers cannot cancel you just because you get an infraction that puts you over the limit? We're going to supply. We're going to have high risk insurance. You have to pay a little bit more. Um, they passed that. That was the government stepping in against what they deemed to be an injustice. Same with medical health insurance, where you get diagnosed with cancer, they can't say, "Yeah, we're not renewing your policy. No, we don't want to pay that out. We're not renewing it." They can't do that. Legally, they cannot do that because of the government stepping in and saying no. They love to step in and say no and tell businesses how to operate, all except homeowners. It's interesting to me. And the California state government has made it more and more difficult for these insurers to even stay solvent and in business. But yet they're letting people who have been with these certain insurance companies 20, 30 years, paid in, never even had a claim, completely erase that history and go, yeah, we're not covering you anymore. Good luck. And look what's happened all over the state, people losing everything. Why wouldn't the government step in that regard? Tom McClintock goes, well, free market and so on and so forth. And they go, well, that's great. But I just gave you two other examples where you did step in. What are your thoughts on that? Should that be taken away? Should we let free market rule and let insurance companies cancel me because I get diagnosed with a life-threatening disease? Is that okay? Is that free market enough for you? Where do you draw the line? I hated the answer that he gave me twice, and he's not back on the show again since then. He had to come back on the show after, but it hit home to me because I lived there and I saw what it did to so many friends. I was there. I did not lose my home in the fire. I'd lost that in a divorce in 2017. But what can we expect at this event? Is this something that the public's invited to? Is it a party? Is it a barbecue? What is it?
It's a gathering. It's a beacon. That's what this event is. It is a wake up. It is a bucket full of ice to dump on everyone to wake them up. That's what this event is, because it's been 4 years. I would encourage. I hope 1,000 people show up to this event because then they have no excuse. They can't hide. The media has to show up. Everyone has to show up. If there was an event with 1,000 people in El Dorado County, think about that.
Yeah.
No, we need to all show up and support this event. I want the news out there. We're going to bring some fire vehicles. There's going to be a lot of organizations there. We're going to have people from Moms for Liberty. We're going to have Angela Webb, who's the CEO of a nonprofit called Arrive Alive California. She has about 74,000 followers on Instagram, so she's got quite a big audience. So I don't think there's any hiding from this one. They're going
I
to
just
have to
had
actually make something
I just
happen.
had your sheriff Jeff Lykoff on my show last week. Extraordinary gentleman. Um, I'm sure he'd love to know about this. Uh,
Yes.
and where is it? When is it?
So it is 3181 Cameron Park Drive in California. Sorry, Cameron Park, California. It is Suite 104. You can't miss it because there will be a big crowd. It's May 3rd, which is next Saturday from 5 to 8 p.m.
5 to 8.
Hmm.
And so just guest speakers and hopefully bring some money to donate to help out West Slope is the name
The
of the nonprofit.
West Slope Foundation. They're off of Mount Auckham Road. Very nice man, Scott Telfer, the managing director, or excuse me, the executive director, will be speaking at the event.
Good. Okay, one more time then. Saturday, May 3rd from 5 to 8.
5 to 8 p.m.
And will there be food available there, drink?
I'm working that out, but I'll make sure everyone is covered. Don't worry. I'll make sure there's some goodies for the family. I want this to be a family event.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Is there going to be music or anything like that?
I don't know if there will be music, but there will definitely be a worship time. I want to really make this educational, and I have a lot of great speakers lined up. Just to rattle off a few, we're going to have Tanessa Audette, who's amazing. She was the former mayor of Reading. She's still on Reading City Council, and she is just a true conservative. We have Tamara Wallace, who's the current mayor of Lake Tahoe. Very blessed to have her. We have Nick Bussey, who was out of Placer County. Unfortunately, he didn't win his seat because he is just in a blue district, as blue as can be, and he is too conservative for that district. But I really hope he wins his next election. I'm sure it's not the first and the last time he's going to be running. And we have people from the Fire Safe Council, Moms for Liberty, like I said, and Angela Webb, which is going to be pretty amazing.
I was part of the Fire Safe Council when I lived up there. Fantastic work, what they do.
Okay.
And volunteer. These people volunteer their time and their energies, and it's just all to help the community and to come together. And we had Crime Watch up there. We brought all this in. The citizens, taking care of ourselves, and that's a lot of the reason. Also, I believe why the state of California wants us to go away. They want us to get so frustrated we just leave the state because we don't wait for the government to take care of us from cradle to grave. We don't want them to take care of us. We want them to get out of our way and let us live our lives as long as we're doing it legally within the confines of a polite society. Otherwise, though, this is my property and this is how I want to live, as long as it doesn't break the law. And that's how that community was up there at Grizzly Flats. I loved it so much, Topher, and I hate to see what has happened to it. I love that you're doing this too. Thank you very much for spearheading this. If I can help in any way, if I can be there, I got to check my calendar. Um, Maybe even bring a sound system. Do you have a sound system for music or anything? Because I have that.
If you honestly, if you could bring a sound system, and I might put you on the spot a little bit, but I was going to ask you if you would set up there and talk to the people and do little mini interviews so that the community has more of a voice.
Brother, I'm going to check my calendar. I want to make that happen. I want to be there. So it's going to be in Cameron Park, the town of Cameron Park, up there by El Dorado Hills. And one more time, the street address. Is it a place that we know, or is it near something that you could tell us about, or do we just follow the street address?
It's near the closest place I could say it's by the Air Park Saloon, which people will know if they know Cameron Park.
Yeah,
So right across from the Cameron Park Airport, 3181 Cameron Park Drive, Suite 104 in Cameron Park, California.
that's fantastic. And I'm sure wherever that place is, I'm pretty confident they probably even volunteered and gave you the place to use. That's just how they come together. I love El Dorado County. I always have. I just think it's one of the best in the nation. And thank you, my friend Topher. Where do we find you? How do we get a hold of you? Follow what you're doing.
Well, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm TopherH99, and you can follow our hub, TPUSA_EDC. That's our Turning Point Hub Instagram. So please find us. Please support us. We need to create this movement because I totally agree. I love El Dorado County. This is my home. And as soon as we lose those values where we forget about our neighbors, this place has been lost, and we're not going to let that die. As soon as we stop talking to our neighbors, El Dorado County is screwed. It's done. It means the Democrats have come in, and we all know how friendly Democrats are. So
Divide and conquer. That's what they do. Unless, of
that's
course, you
what they
believe
do.
them. Yeah,
They cheat, lie, and steal. That's what they do.
liars, cheats, and crooks. All right, Topher. May God bless you and keep you. Thank you very much for your. Thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for doing this.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. It was a pleasure.
Oh, same here. And you can keep in touch with me and have any questions about any of this, charliesimons.com. That's charliesimons.com. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America bless God.